Hey guys, happy Friday to you. Really
Happy
excited.
Friday.
We're following up on Monday's challenge from the Facebook Live we did, our Mindset Monday challenge. So really excited for that. And I think Carl and I are both on the same page. We're looking forward to the weekend, both here and in the UK. We got a long weekend with Monday being off. So nice, good opportunity to remind people we won't be doing a Mindset Monday on Monday. Carl and I will both be enjoying the day off. So, big plans for the long weekend?
Nope, resting. I'm going to sleep a lot this weekend. I'm really tired. So I'm going to just rest up. And we got another monster week next week. So, yeah, bit of a recharge for me. How about you?
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Don't have any firm plans yet. Rest sounds good. It's really poor weather here in Baltimore at the moment, so it's not like I can go outside either. But yeah, no. Looking forward to getting some rest and relaxation over the extra days. So get recharged so we can come back and serve all of you guys. So looking forward to doing that.
Yeah.
But no, today's very cool, Carl. We got a nice follow up from Monday, which I'm looking forward to. And really, we're here to serve you guys. We want to answer your questions as we do, frankly, every time. We're looking forward to again continuing to serve you in any way we can. So let's see here. Before we get to the challenge itself, Carl, let's kind of go back and talk a little bit about what Monday's challenge really was, right? And what Monday was all about. Monday was really for allowing people to remember TRC, as we said. And you add an extra letter in there. But it comes down to relationships, and it comes down to conversations with sellers, with intermediaries, with your network. If you don't tell people what your goals and objectives are, you're not ever going to achieve them. It's hard to achieve a goal in isolation. It's hard to achieve a goal without support. I look at you, Carl. I look at you, and I look at me, and where we are in our lives, and we couldn't do it without the people we have around us.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And what people need to realize is deal making's a team sport. It's like playing basketball. I'm watching that phenomenal Netflix show at the moment, The Last Dance, about
Jordan,
about the Chicago Bulls, Jordan, Pippen, the CEO, the GM of the team, and they killed it because of the kind of team spirit. And people know Jordan as arguably the greatest basketball player ever, but if it wasn't for Scottie Pippen playing with him, he and the Bulls wouldn't have got that level of success. So when you take that into a deal making arena, it is a team sport. It's not just about you. It is about you primarily and what you want and why you want to buy a business. But then you've got to look at all the other players in the kind of game. You've got to look at the seller. You've got to look at brokers if it's a broker deal. You've got to look at CPAs. You've got to look at lawyers. You've got to also look at the people that can influence the seller, like a wealth manager or an investor. And what I've figured out through my almost 30 years of doing this is the more relationships you build, the more deals you will close. It's as simple as that. If you work in sales, the more relationships you build, the more products or services you will sell. And in the deal making arena, it's exactly the same. So we set you this challenge for two reasons. One, to get some activity into you so you can go out and start building your network and building your relationships and your deal flow. But then secondly, what Adam did is we put some accountability into this. And what my mentor, Tony Robbins, always tells me is when you share a goal publicly, when you share a commitment to doing something publicly, you're 5xing your chances of actually following through, because you're accountable to yourself, first of all, you're accountable to us as well, and you're accountable to all the 60, 70, 80 other people that were watching this on Monday. So So I think what we want to do today is really kind of go through what your activity's been, what you've learned, how further along the journey you are now versus where you were 4 days ago. And then I have a little prize, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I have a little prize for who we believe is the the standout performer of the week. And then, Adam, let's do some Q&A. We've not done some solid Q&A for a few weeks. I know we had Kosan on last week and stuff. So, any burning questions?
Yeah, so that's the plan. So first and foremost, guys, we're thrilled you're here. If you are here, drop a hello in the chat. We wanna hear from you, and we want to say hi to you. We've got John, we've got Steve, we've got Jacques, we've got David, we've got Geraldine. Guys, we're happy to have you here. And if you're here watching, we want to be able to share with you. We want to be able to kind of feel the excitement with you here on this Friday. I know it's Friday before holiday weekend for both the US and the UK. So, but yeah, happy to have you guys here and thrilled to have you guys here. For those who don't know, and we'll just jump into it, the challenge was this. Tell us how many people from Monday of this week, during the Mindset Monday, through today here at YouTube Live, how many people will you go talk to? Sellers, intermediaries? How many of those conversations will you have? We had goals ranging from 2 to 20 in really a 4.5 day period, 5 day period, however you do the math. And so in reality, right, we were challenging people to go out and take action, right? The only way you're ever going to succeed as a deal maker and achieve the level of respect, achieve the level of success, achieve the level of financial wealth creation, freedom creation that you desire, the only way you're going to do that is to be an action taker. So it's super critical that you take action. And that's what we really want to do by serving a challenge up to you in this way. So we had, I think, about 10 people leave comments back on Monday during Facebook Live, putting in their chats, right? Putting in the chat how many people they're going to talk to. And so, first and foremost, thanks to all those people. So it's Jamie, Steve, Faith, Nelson, Jonathan, Brett, Shahar, Rashida, and another Steve. So we got 2 Steves in there. We doubled up the Steve. So we had these 10 or so people, absolutely crush it by committing to a goal. 3 people had 20, 2 people had 5, 1 person had 10, another person said 3 to 5, another was 2 franchise, 1 finance person, and then lastly 4. So absolutely exciting stuff. So we'll get to each of you specifically, but first, hi all, we're thrilled to have you here. We've got Faith, we've got Jeremy, we've got William, we've got Roal Ben. Guys, we're stoked to have you here. So again, that's what the challenge is for. You got to be an action taker, and that's what we're looking for when we're looking to work with people and we're looking to train people. We do this because so many people have asked how we do deals. And Carl started Ninja Acquisitions back in 2016, and he started it because people wondered how he was able to do what he was doing in acquiring businesses. We never set out on this journey to create a training business necessarily in and of itself. It just kind of happened, right? And our real success from this isn't really the number of people who buy the training program. The real success is the number of people who tell us their lives have been irrevocably changed because they've bought a business, right? I think about Eric, who's a student of ours, who literally just, 2 weeks ago, bought an $8 million business here in the middle of COVID, right? And he personally is going to more than 5x his income off of one business, right? You guys hear me all the time, whether you see it in confessions, my sign off, or when we're signing off from our lives. You're one deal away from changing your life. You're one deal away. If you're making $100,000 today, what happens tomorrow if you've bought that business and are making $500,000 a year? That's a life-changing amount of money for most people. And you're doing it every year, right? This isn't a lottery win where you get a pop of money and it goes away. This is something that will pay you month after month, year after year, decade after decade. And it's something we're excited to be supporting. And at the end of the day, our goal is to create a world filled with action-taking deal makers. I'm jazzed about it, Carl. I mean, it's why we do what we do.
It's the only way, because one of the key things we talked about on Monday was that execution trumps knowledge every single time. And you can watch the videos in Dealmaker CEO, you can watch them 100 times. Unless you do the implementation, unless you take the action that you need to take, then you're not going to get the results that you need. And we always talk about, the mindset of all this really comes down to your why and your purpose. And I say this every week: nobody wants to buy a business. Nobody wants to own a business. What you want are the benefits of owning a business: the pride, the freedom, the wealth creation, the wealth, the generational wealth, the assurance, the flexibility, the work-life balance that you may not have if you're working for somebody else. So once you channel those emotions into this process, that's going to give you the fuel and the juice to take, and that leverage to take that action and get things done. And it's very, very simple. There's only 4 things you need to do to buy a business. Once you've got your mindset, you need to, dial it in and make sure that you're constantly in that peak state. You need to, follow the rules of the program and go through it step by step. It's like a recipe, baking a cake. You're using our ingredients, you're using our recipe. If you do it the way we show you, you'll get the same results that we've got hundreds and hundreds of times. And then you need to build relationships. This is one of the key rules. Once you build the relationships, the more people you touch, the more people you speak to, the better chances that you're going to have in building your team and playing this team sport. So so that's it. There's no shying away from it. You've got to put the work in, to get the results. And this is one of the key things that holds people back. They won't make the calls. They won't take the action. So this is why I take you this challenge.
Yeah, it's right. You'll never learn how to ride a bike without actually trying. You'll never be a deal maker without actually doing.
You may fall down, but you get back up and you keep trying. Like, whoever learned to ride a bike without falling off it 5 times? I bought a new bike on Tuesday. I've already fallen off it 3 times and grazed all my knees. But hey, I keep getting up. I keep doing it. It's what you got to do.
You're never too old to learn how to ride a bike, Carl. You're never too old. Yeah, I think the biggest thing, right, is most of us learn to ride a bike maybe with training wheels, right? Maybe with some kind of help. Say a parent.
Where are the training wheels, Adam? Where are the training wheels?
Maybe a friend or a parent who's was holding this, the handlebars or the seat and kind of giving you a push. But no, it's important, and we do this to serve you and support you guys, and that's what we're excited for. So we got Geraldo, we got Haroon, we got we've got all kinds of great people here, and we're excited. So let's get to the challenge, right? Let's talk about the specifics and what people said. So I don't know if everyone who participated in the challenge is on. If not, that's okay. We had 3 people, Jamie, Steve Rooms, and Faith, all saying they wanted to do 20 this week, which is an incredible number of calls, right? If you presume every call takes you 30 minutes or an hour, at 30 minutes, you're talking about 10 hours of calls. At 1 hour, you're talking about 20 hours of calls. That's real commitment. That's someone striving for real action. And that doesn't include the time it takes you to set up the meetings, prepare for the meetings, anything like that. So credit to you guys striving for those big numbers. Steve's told us he got through 16 out of his target of 20, plus he left a voicemail with 2. So to me, I'm going to flag that as 18, Carl. That's incredible, right? Steve, you keep doing that week after week, building that kind of relationship. And listen, a call can include not someone new in your network. It can include people you already have a relationship with. This is key, right? Building a relationship's an ongoing effort. It's not a one-hit wonder. You don't talk to them today and then you never talk to them again. You've got to talk to them multiple times. And so, Steve, that's incredible. Faith on here. She had 22 out of 20. So she actually exceeded. That was with CPAs, CFAs, attorneys, sellers, brokers, and potential partners. 5 of them Zoom meetings. I mean, that is crushing it. She already has 4 appointments for next week. That's action taken, folks. That's people working hard to change their life, and it's what you can do as well. So hats off, Faith. That's absolutely incredible. Let's see here. Geraldine missed Mondays, Mondays, but connected with 3 wealth managers this week and sent a message to a broker. So 3 hours of connections, and got an opportunity to present at some meetings with these folks. I mean, that's good stuff, right? Like, that's real action taking. Let's see here. Steve, more specific, he spoke to 6 accountants, 3 solicitors, a wealth manager, and 6 financiers, right? That's covering the gambit, right? We always talk about the professional network of 4 people, right? An accountant or CPA. We talk about wealth managers, we talk about attorneys, and we talk about financiers. He covered all 4 buckets, and that's really exciting. Yeah, so really thrilled, and that's who we have who's followed up. If Nelson, Jonathan, Brett, Shahar, Rashida, our other Steve, if any of you guys pop on, tell us how you did on Monday. It's from Monday till today. We're excited to hear from you, guys. If you've got questions, we'd love to hear from you. Ask your questions in the chat. I know we've got one. We're thrilled to have you guys here. So. First question is,
hey, Adam,
yeah.
just before we go to the question, declare for me a winner of the challenge.
I've got to pick a winner. Well,
so I have a little gift for the winner of the challenge that I want to show what it is.
Well, I think I have to pick 2, right? I have to pick.
Well,
I have to pick 2. Yeah,
I can do 2.
Yeah, so I think we've got to pick Faith and Steve. So guys, we'll have someone from our team ping you on Facebook. So expect a message from them, and we'll connect with you. Carl.
Yep.
Now's your chance. What have they won, Vanna? Boom! Look at that thing.
So I'm gonna send you guys both a personalized signed copy of my book. Zero Down Business Buying Secrets. You might have got the PDF, but this is the real book, and I'm going to sign it with a little message inside, and I'm going to we'll get your addresses. I think Steve's in Liverpool. He's a Liverpool fan. I'm looking at his messages on here, and I know Faith and Roger. They're very good friends of ours. They're in our Prox Capital PE group. They're based in San Diego. Very, very good friends of ours. I will be sending you guys a copy as well. So I'll write you some inspirational words in the front, and I'll sign it. And then you've got the copy of the book to keep forever. So
yeah,
I'll get those out.
Yeah, nice, Carl. That's fantastic. And have to shout out William as well. William did 3 of 5, and 2 financiers and a CPA. Nice job. Really impressed. Action taking is the way to go. And Steve's in Hull.
Oh, he's in Hull. He's a Liverpool fan.
Oh, well,
he lives in Hull.
There you go.
So, Steve, I don't know if you know, I'm a Burnley supporter. So, don't know if you knew that.
You got to be careful with this stuff, Carl. People might start judging you based on your.
Yeah, I know.
We all pick poorly at times, and we don't want to lose people as a result of your poor decision.
I know, but I support the team where I was born. I was born in Burnley, so all my family are from Burnley. So that's I was dragged there by my ears when I was a child. So yeah, that's my team. So
well, there you go, dragged by your ears.
Cool. So let's really serve these people today. Let's quick fire Q&A. Any question about anything to do with deal making, hit us up in the chat and we will answer it for you. Let's go.
Yeah, so first one's Haroon. Hey guys, I'm a medicine student from Amsterdam. I'm 19 years old. I bought your course with my savings, and I have a question. How can I convince a business to trust a 19-year-old as their boss? Carl, take it away.
Yeah, so I truly admire your passion and starting this at such a young age. We had somebody, was it last week, Adam, 17-year-old, still in college? 18 still in college.
Our friend Daisy.
Program. And I'm going to give you, Haroon, the same advice that we gave to her. So At 19, while I absolutely applaud your enthusiasm wanting to do this, you probably just are lacking a few more years of life on earth and life in business to, really be able to do this successfully. What I would recommend you do just on your first deal is go and partner with somebody. Go and partner with somebody that's got that little bit of gray hair, that industry experience, and go and do the deal with them. Because what's going to happen is once you've gone through that first deal, you'll go 70 to 80% up the learning curve. If you look at where Adam and I are now, after hundreds and hundreds of deals, tens of billions of dollars, and you just do one deal with a partner and you go through the entire process, start to finish, and you go through all of that psychology and emotion that you'll go through. And you'll make some mistakes and you'll get back up and you'll keep going forward. But one deal will take you 70 to 80% up to that learning curve. The difference between one deal and 400 deals is just nuances in deal structures, nuances in financing, nuances in sectors, nuances in sellers, and those different types of things. So I strongly recommend go and partner. So because you're in the program, go into the Facebook group. So if you're not in the Dealmaker CEO Facebook group, it's complimentary to join as part of the program, and then just tell your story, because what you have is you have some brains, you have some energy, you have some focus, you want to run the process. There are people in the program that have got the things that you don't have. They have the experience, they have the contacts, but what they don't have potentially, some of them, is that work ethic, that drive to want to churn through and get deals done and do all the behind the scenes work. So you can partner with one of those people and then you can buy a business together. And Adam, it reminds me, we talk about this a lot, reminds me of Peter and Hanif, who were a similar kind of combination. One was younger, really energetic. Peter, whilst still lots of energy, lots of passion, just had a ton of other things going on in his life and didn't really have all that time to run a deal on his own. So they partnered and now they own 5 businesses. So Haroon, that could definitely be you. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, very good. And I have nothing really to add beyond, you've got a world of life ahead of you, and to be on this path at your age is something that I think probably most people who are watching right now would be envious of, right? If you're this motivated at 19, where do you think you'll actually be by the time you're 25, 30? You're going to be further ahead than most of us were at that age by many, many leaps and bounds. So hats off to you, young sir, and keep on cranking. I think you've got a bright future ahead of you. So John's got a question for us. General Q&A, looking to buy businesses who are also my suppliers. And worried about mixed messages if I deal with the same people as both a customer and a buyer. Should I buy in a different region? First blush, absolutely not. I don't think it impacts your relationship, your vendor relationship. It's all about how you approach the conversation, right? Understand what they really want, right? Carl and I have talked about this before, but you want to find out the 3 things that seller needs, right? Why are they selling? And it's never a problem to ask that. Be their friend, be their ally, understand what they look for and want in exiting their business. The second thing is, what is their structure of their business? You probably have some familiarity of that because you were working with them. They're a supplier for your existing business, right? So you have some understanding, but dig deeper. Who runs the company? Who operates it day to day? What's the infrastructure of the business, and how easy it is for you to acquire it and either integrate it into your existing business or have it sit to the side and continue to run while you're just an owner investor. And the third and final question is, you'll again know some of this. How do they make money? You're clearly generating revenue for them, but how are they really making money? Who else are their clients? Who else are their customers? And what are they doing to facilitate their revenue stream? Do they have a sales team? Is it all online? What are they doing to market, referrals, et cetera? Like what is happening? Really understand how cash comes in the door and makes it all the way to the bank. That is the most important element from a financial perspective when you go to evaluate any business. So don't be afraid if it's a supplier. I think it's an awesome opportunity. And frankly, Carl and I were just talking about this yesterday, right? there's three types of businesses you can buy as an existing business owner. You buy a competitor doing exactly what you're doing. You buy something vertical in your supply chain, like what you're talking about, John. And then finally, you buy something that's similar but not homogenous. And what I mean by that is, if you're a landscaping company, go buy a hardscaping company. A plumber, go buy an electrician, right? Your customer list and those businesses respectively allow you to cross-sell, so generate even more money at some level of cost savings and efficiencies. And 1 + 1 is 3 and 5 in those cases. So
yeah, and what's also really important is when you're buying a business for the first time versus you own a business and you want to buy more businesses, your why is very, very different. And when you're looking at doing bolt-on acquisitions, it's your requirements are different. You're looking for more customers, you're looking for more revenue, you're looking for more cash flow, you're looking for more talent and management that you can plug in to your business. I'll tell you a funny story. I once used a supplier as an equity investor to allow me to do a bolt-on acquisition. So I used to own a packaging company in Derby called Packaging Extra. And we bought one of our local competitors. We used to wholesale pharmaceutical packaging for chemists and other pharmaceutical organizations, like bags and tubes and cups and spoons and PPE and all those different things. And there's one competitor that, was kind of, going out there and causing us some issues. So we decided to buy them. I had to buy the business, all the money down. It wasn't an expensive acquisition. It was only a couple of £100,000. And I didn't have the cash flow at the time, and the banks wouldn't lend me any money. So I called my biggest supplier, who supplied 70% of all of my products, and I got him to invest in the group of the businesses. So I then had the cash to go and acquire this business. And it transformed what we were doing. It gave us a lot of leverage into other different markets. They had a customer base we didn't. They had some products that we didn't. So we were able to kind of cross-pollinate products between all the different customers. And then when we brought the two businesses together, they were in the same town. We were able to take out loads and loads of cost. So our revenues went up, but our profits went up more because there was a whole bunch of money that we were able to save. So absolutely. And you're not going to offend the supplier by calling them and saying, hey, can I acquire your company? They're still going to want your business. But what they might say to you, they might say no, but they might say, I know somebody that would sell. Whether they'll tell you or not, it's a different matter, because then you might shift your supply. But always have the conversations. It's amazing what you can learn.
Yeah, and generally speaking, there are always no harm, no foul situations, right? You're just having a conversation to see if there's, something you can come to terms with as a group. So no real concerns there. We've got a question from Simon. I'm finding picking an industry a bit difficult. Do I go with my IT background or something else? Well, Simon, this is what we refer to as stay in your lane, right? Whatever your experience is and whatever your background is, for your first deal, you're best suited to stay in your lane. And what that means is stay in an area or an industry that fits your expertise. If you've got an IT background, stay in the broader IT space, IT services, security services, things like that, where you can leverage your skill set. And IT is a very broad definition anyways. There's a ton of stuff that can fit into that, but the idea is stay in your lane. You're going to be able to come across much more credibly as a potential buyer, and you're going to be able to really understand the mechanics of the business. Again, those things we asked. You don't need an IT background to understand a seller's why, but in order to really affect a strong level of understanding into what their corporate structure looks like and how that can benefit you as a buyer and how they make money, those are things that are going to be much more intuitive if you stay with something you're familiar with. So big recommendation from us is always stay in your lane for your first deal. There's some folks who do have more horizontal skill sets and they can be a little bit broader brushed, but generally speaking, you're best off sticking with what you know.
Yeah, and I think one of the little caveat with that is what I see sometimes is people, they might have a ton of experience in a particular sector like IT, but for whatever reason, they're just sick and tired of it. They want to get out and do something else. They're really passionate about, they want to own a golf course, or they want to own I don't know, something else that they're really passionate about. If they're really passionate about wine, they want to buy a wine store or an online wine business. And the challenge you're going to have, Steve, whilst you've got some value to add to any business if you're an IT professional, but it's going to be really hard to build a relationship with a seller and a financier if you don't really know the business, really understand it, and can really add value to it. So if you want to do something in a niche that you don't really understand what you're passionate about, just go partner with somebody. Whilst we want Haroon to partner just because of his young age, anyone can partner in a sector that they don't understand. And 50-50, it's better to own half of something than 100% of nothing. So that would be my only caveat to that.
Yeah, and Simon's got a follow-up, which is, do you think the USA in the next X amount of years is ripe more than another country for acquisitions? Also, a bit laughing. Yes. Do I need a gun there?
Depends where you go, but like the
US, answer is no. You don't need a gun. That's the right answer.
Yeah. So the US. And it has been for an extremely long time. The US is by far and away the largest country for deals, just because there's so many businesses there. There's 39 million small businesses in the US, and nearly 3 million of them are for sale today. And you've got the largest, most sophisticated, most mature acquisition financing market. You've got the SBA, you've got all these other lenders, you've got angel investors, you've got family offices, there's trillions of dollars of capital out there for the right deals. And what you've also got is that the US kind of invented what is now known as seller financing. So the US invented this lease to buy model where you can buy a business and not have to pay for it all at closing. And they even do that now in real estate. They don't do it in the UK like that. And countries like UK and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Singapore, we're kind of on the coattails of, what's really going on in the US. And then what you've also got in the US, which is really profound, is you've got the biggest number of retirees that we've ever seen. So you've got all the baby boomers that came back after the Second World War and, babies were born. They all own small businesses. There's 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day in the US, and 19% own small businesses. So you've got nearly 2,000 businesses every single day, 7 days a week, hitting the US market. So that situation's only going to get worse.
Worse in the best way for a Dealmaker, right? So like worse meaning the number of people retiring will accelerate, number of businesses coming to market will increase, right? So not worse in like, it's going to be bad. No. Worse in the best way possible if you're someone looking to acquire businesses. And, that's just an important thing to remember, is that it's a massive market. There's massive opportunity. All the stuff Carl's just mentioned is super true and super critical, that it's got the kind of financing market and seller expectations broadly that support what we do in the small business space. So sorry to cut you off there. I just want to make sure when you said worse, people realize it actually is a really good thing, right?
It is for us. It's the worst time for sellers. It's the best time for buyers. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jacques got a long thing here in the chat, but at the end of the day, he submitted an offer. There was some waiting, submitted another offer, et cetera, et cetera. And they've asked for another couple of weeks before they give him feedback on his latest offer. Is it time to consider a deadline for feedback on your latest offer? So first and foremost, anytime you ever put out an offer, at least for us, we always have a response time in the letter. It's always in the letter. Hey, this offer, we're submitting it. We've got to hear back by X date. And then they've got to ask explicitly for an extension to that, and that's got to be granted by you. So always have a date to begin with. If in the case they're asking for an extension, use that opportunity to understand why. What is their thought process behind waiting? What are they waiting for on their side that's ultimately going to allow them to make a decision one way or the other? Because if they're not necessarily dialoguing with you directly or communicating fairly quickly, on the offer you've put out, it tells me that the offer you've put out is not that compelling to them. It's an offer that they're not resonating with. And so I will never encourage you to negotiate against yourself, which means you change your offer without any feedback from them. But understand there's a lesson to be learned here somewhere. At some point, you miss the expectation they might have had in terms of an offer, and your offer is a little too far away, and they're not at a place where they feel comfortable coming back and discussing it immediately.
The other side of it is you might be really close, and and they're shopping, and they could be shopping you around other potential interested parties. That happens. What I would do, and what I always do, is I just keep in touch with them, move on to other deals in your funnel. Don't burn your bridges. They may very well come back to you in another couple of weeks and say, yeah, we want to talk further, which is why it's important to have lots of deals in your pipeline. So you can kind of bounce around between different deals rather than just having one deal. Sounds like you might have a little bit of deal heat on this one. Don't know if it's your only deal that you're running right now. And it's easy to get frustrated when you just have one deal and it's not moving at the pace that you want it to. So having other opportunities that you can pivot to is really, really important. But it's super important. Adam talked about this, I think, last week or the week before on YouTube, where we talked about, never, ever, ever burn your bridges with brokers or with sellers. Always keep that phenomenally professional, friendly relationship because it's that know, like, and trust factor, right? You want to keep the door open, because if it's a broker and this deal doesn't work out before too long, you're probably going to come across them again, and they'll remember you as somebody professional and polite and really, rapport based. So, they're going to want to do business with you again, because a lot of buyers are not like that. A lot of buyers can be a lot more ruthless, and, they don't make a lot of friends in this industry. So maintaining those standards is really, really key. So just hang in there and keep in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, good luck. There's no doubt about it. And it ties back to, Carl mentioned deal heat. Try never to have deal heat. Deal heat's where you're just so locked in and emotionally connected to one particular opportunity that you feel your success or failure is dependent on whether or not that one deal closes. We're all about taking as many good shots on goal as you can. And what we mean by that is you should be concurrently working on other opportunities. Have as many opportunities in the mix as you can possibly manage. And these have to be quality, right? We're not just saying numbers for the sake of numbers, but the person who successfully reviews, evaluates, and has discussions with sellers in a meaningful way, the person who does that 100 times is going to be more successful than the person who does it 10 times, right? So you want to be that person, right? We talk about Faith and Steve who made 20 or close to 20 contacts. They
didn't stop after the first call where they got a potential deal. They didn't say, okay, I don't need to call anybody else now. I got one deal. I'll work on it. They made the other 15, 20 calls because they're diversifying their funnel and filling it with all these different opportunities. So they're just exponentially increasing their probability of closing a deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's really important. And that's what's really critical, right? We want you guys to be successful. And to do that, you've got to be taking as many shots on goal as you can, but they've got to be meaningful and they've got to be quality. So Geraldine's asked a question here. Can you please talk about the Academy program? So real quickly, we've got something called Dealmaker Academy. Dealmaker Academy is the highest level group coaching we have, where we, on a weekly basis, spend time in a formatted setting where we're reviewing deals. You're watching and interacting with us as we go through and evaluate companies as potential acquisitions. You have the opportunity to submit your deals. It's all anonymized, and you can watch and learn as we analyze the deal and come up with questions and things like that. So that's one of the biggest things. These are weekly calls. You've got the exclusive Facebook group for Dealmaker Academy students only. These are obviously higher level students. These are people who are actively doing deals and looking for opportunities. So you've got another networking opportunity there. And then finally, you've got the opportunity to get more specified Q&A, right? Like it's a smaller group setting. and you're able to interact with not just Carl and I, but our coaches, Kostan, who you met last week, and then John McElroy, who you met about a month ago when Carl and I did the live deal review here on LinkedIn. And if you haven't seen that, go watch it. That's a great flavor and taste for what happens inside of Dealmaker Academy. We call it the red light, green light, where we evaluate a deal. And by the end, Carl and I and John and Kostan, and then everyone else in the program have an opportunity to vote whether or not they'd red light or green light the deal. Does it feel viable? Does it not feel viable? And you get to hear and learn how we go through and analyze. And there's nothing better than that kind of practical exhibit of what deal makers are supposed to be able to do as they evaluate. The amount of insights you get from that are incredible.
It's like looking over our shoulders, Geraldine, as we basically break a deal down. So inside of Adam and I own a private equity company called Prox, where we buy all of our businesses. And, we partner with people as well in doing those deals. And what we do on the red light, green light calls for Academy is we're basically mirroring exactly how we discuss and break deals down inside of Prox, how we analyze them, what are the questions we need to ask, how does the seller psychology kind of impact how we would do the deal, what are some of the growth opportunities that we can really quickly plug into this business, how do we play the seller, how do we structure a deal. So we kind of go through that. And to Adam's point, go and watch the deal review that we did on YouTube about a month ago, and you see the kind of detail that we go into when we brainstorm on these deals. And it's not just an opportunity for you to get one of your deals reviewed, which I have to say, I wish I had this kind of service, when I was starting out as a deal maker. But it's, some of the training that we do on there as well is a kind of next level type of stuff. And some of the people in that group as well, that they can be very industry specific. I know yesterday we were looking at an engineering company that was very, very niche, very specific. And one of the gentlemen on the call really understood that market because he owned pretty much the same type of business. So he was able to offer real deep industry insights about what was happening in that type of industry and what were some of the other things that we should look for. So it's a phenomenal thing that we have. We launched it just over a year ago. We capped the numbers. We don't want everybody, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people in Dealmaker CEO. You've got to be in the CEO program to qualify for Academy, but we capped the numbers at max, I think 150 or 200 people, just to really get that more kind of intimate feeling. And you get 90 minutes of Adam and I and John and Kostan and everybody else on a weekly basis. So it's a great program.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. And so I know Faith shows up to those. She's made a great comment here. The red light, green light sessions are so powerful. They really help to understand the process of breaking down a deal and getting the viewpoint of so many Dealmaker pros. And that's really the value, right? Carl said it. You're sitting on our shoulders as we go through it. And it's an incredibly powerful experience to be able to kind of witness how we think and how we evaluate. Because as you're doing deals yourself, you're going to be able to leverage that understanding, leverage the questions you hear almost in your head that we're asking. We're asking these questions. We're looking at this. We're looking at the industry. We're looking at all that stuff. So it's a really powerful tool. So
I think what Geraldine might be asking, and as you know, Adam, we never pitch on these calls, but I think what Geraldine might be asking is, what's the cost to join the Academy, and is there a link? I don't know what the pricing model is for that now. Since we made you CEO of this company. So I don't know if you want to post a link in there or follow up with Geraldine separately. I don't know, but
yeah, we can certainly find a way to do that. But if you have questions, let us know. There are spots open, Geraldine, if you're interested in joining, and we'll make sure we connect with you to get you a link either here or via Facebook. So I did hear from Jamie, Carl, who also posted from Monday a challenge. He sent me a message. So Jamie's part of one of the partners in our private equity group, who's just like you. He was a student and came in and works with us. He finds deals and we partner on them together. He had 12 contacts, so he missed his goal of 20, but he'll have 14 by Monday. So nice work to him as well as a follow-up to that challenge.
I'll give you a buck, Jamie, next time I see you, buddy.
So Jim's got a great question here, and I'm really excited to answer this one, Carl. He says, "Hi, I have a seller that is keen to do a deal, but the market he operates in is heavily affected by COVID. Should I do the deal or wait for more clarity with his business? The business will be, in quotes, screwed for 2020, but should recover by mid-2021. Would appreciate our thoughts." So some of the people in the chat are asking what the industry is. It's in the hairdressing barbershop industry. And so this is exactly the kind of place where you can see an incredible opportunity, right? We talked, I don't know, probably 5-6 weeks ago about blood in the streets, right? Fear, uncertainty, FUD, as Carl calls it, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it's an incredible opportunity for you to negotiate a deal that's both favorable to you and favorable to the seller, right? You go in there and they think their business could have been worth 5 months ago, could have been worth 500,000 pounds or dollars, right? But right now, you know that business is worth a fraction of that because COVID's impacted the ability of a barbershop or hairdresser to have personalized clients. I know here in the US, there's many of the states are opening up for appointment only, so hairdressers and things like that can get back to work and start making money again. I don't know where the business is located, so I don't know the rules or kind of regulations they've got to follow right now. But if they're really looking to sell, the opportunity is this. You can structure the deal in a way that's completely dependent on future performance. We call those earnouts, right? So, hey, I'm going to buy your company, but I'm not going to pay you money today because there's too much uncertainty. But I'm going to take over. I'm going to take ownership. I'll take the risk of what happens when we reopen. In return, I'll still pay you that hypothetical $500,000 you think the company's worth. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay you 50 cents for every dollar of profit that company makes. So if this business makes 100,000 in profit, you'll get 50,000. If it makes 200,000 in profit, you'll get 100,000. You'll get 50 cents of every deal. And that's just one example. So don't stick with that. You've got to look and negotiate that and work that through your seller. But speaking broadly, you can suggest a model that can achieve their overall objective and what they value the company at, but it doesn't take resources from you and the business pays for it, right? The business won't pay for any of that acquisition until it makes money. And that's a great spot for you to be in. And you can work with them, work with their attorney and your attorney to actually kind of hone in and focus in on how you can structure that deal. So there's ways to do it. Don't be scared to talk to people who are in a struggling business, right? You've got an opportunity to kind of work in and crank in, and sellers are more willing to negotiate, knowing that the traditional lending markets and otherwise, especially for a business that's been impacted, is just not going to be available. I was talking to some banks this week, and you know they're some of the largest SBA lenders in the country, and they're just not doing anything right now. They're waiting to see what happens a little bit, and that's hard if that's the path you're looking to rely on. And from a seller's perspective, they have to understand the financial markets have weakened in a way that they're going to have to take more risk as a seller in order to actually sell their company and actually receive the multiple or valuation, that overall number they think in their mind it's worth. So hopefully that answered your question, Jim. I'm never afraid of those companies. I just focus on setting up the deal so I can't be negatively impacted in the case it doesn't come to fruition. Let's see here. Someone else, let's see. Geraldine did make a comment, by the way, about that deal, red light, green light deal we did with John on YouTube, Carl. Loved it. Yep. Copious notes.
Copious notes.
Absolutely love it. So Alex has asked, when doing a cash flow forecast for a post LBO, if you use a revolving credit facility such as invoice discounting for a closing period, How do you project this in the cash flow forecast? You want to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the great things about a revolving line of credit, so an AR financing facility or invoice discounting, as we call them in the UK, all you're doing by using that as your closing payment is you're just bringing all that cash forward to the day that you close the deal. And then as long as you continue to trade the business, you continue to use that facility. So let's say you do a deal and you've got $1 million of invoices and you get $800,000 out of that and use that as your closing payment. Then whenever those customers pay those invoices, you're only going to get 20% of that cash. However, the very next day, first day of you owning the business, you send out a $100,000 invoice to a customer. You'll be able to draw down 80% of that money within 24 hours. So what's great about AR facilities is not only do they allow you to buy the business because you can use the financing, it solves your cash flow problem when you then continue to trade the business, because now your customers are effectively paying you the majority of the money 24 hours after you issue an invoice. That's like insane. Yet all your suppliers, or your payables or creditors, as we call them in the UK, you're still paying those people on 30, 60, 90-day terms. So what AR does, whilst they charge you fees and interest, it speeds up your cash conversion cycle inside of your business. So it's a very, very positive thing. And just a quick side question on that as well, because there was a couple of people debating it in the CEO group. What some people are doing in the group is because in the simple model in Dealmaker CEO, we forecast that over a number of years, you're actually going to pay down that invoice discounting facility. In entirety, you actually don't need to do that. You can leave it in as a debt facility. But then when you come to sell the business, that's debt that the buyer is going to deduct from the purchase price, just like we have you do it when you buy a business that's got debt already inside of it. So the reason we have a repayment forecast for that is if you want to sell the business in the future and there's no debt in the business, so you can sell it free and clear, and whatever you get paid to sell the business, you can pocket all of that money. But that's how you handle AR going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to remember is if you want to wean yourself off of that revolving credit facility, you just step by step work through it, right? As your profits allow, you leave surplus cash in the business, use that as float to start building out, and gradually you wean yourself off the revolving credit. But that just takes a period of time, and that's relatively easy to figure out. If your total cost of discounting is 5%, and it's a business that's got a 10% profit margin, in theory, you should be able to pay it all back over the course of a year.
And what's interesting is if you dial that debt down to a kind of much lower level, your facility is still going to stay at the original level. So let's say you buy that first business and then you find another business to buy, and that business doesn't have any of its own assets to leverage. You can use your own facility to generate some cash to go and make a closing payment on the next business. So it's a very, very powerful thing to have. AR financing has always been my favorite kind of rocket fuel when doing deals. There's not many LBOs I've closed personally that have had a decent closing payment that I've not used AR financing. It really is rocket fuel, and it's the cheapest form of debt that you can get. So in most places, so good thing to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see, we've got a question in here from EES. I'd like to know more about an LBO deal. It's a 30% seller finance, 70% bank finance. How to structure the deal so the seller won't feel like he's being robbed away, as none of my money would be in the deal. And should the bank be aware of this kind of deal? If you're getting 70% of the money from the bank, it's highly unlikely the bank's giving you that money without there being some skin in the game if it's traditional finance. Sometimes they'll allow the seller to put that skin in the game for you, but that's all negotiable, and that's something you've got to build into the structure. Overall, though, you can structure a deal any way possible, right? As long as both parties agree to it.
Yeah.
It comes down to the relationship you have with the seller, the relationship you have with any of the intermediaries who are working on the deal, whether it's their attorney, their CPA, a broker, or something like that. The biggest thing is understanding each type of finance calls for different levels of involvement from you as a buyer. Traditional financing, in any sense, is going to require a personal guarantee and likely a capital injection from you. Otherwise, they're going to be really hesitant to do the deal. Even things like the SBA, they're going to require that. And there's ways you can get around it, but you've got to be really cognizant of what that looks like. Banks right now, especially, they want skin in the game if you're doing any of that stuff. They're mitigating their own risk as well. So in terms of structuring it, it's going to be, it's going to be a little bit hard to effectively do that. So looks like he's restructured the question, and shout out Doug. Doug, our friend Doug, Carl.
Yes.
So Doug's on the call. So happy to see you, man. So he wants to, how do you structure the deal so the seller won't feel like he's being robbed away? Okay, so how do you structure it? Well, it's really simple, right? You've just got to be transparent. I'm using the assets of the business to pay for the deal. You've got to have that conversation at some point. You can't hide it.
Absolutely. And what you've got to think about is look at this from two perspectives. So if anyone on the call's ever sold a property, you probably have. So when somebody comes to buy your property, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be using financing. So would you turn around and say, no, I'm not selling you my house because you're not buying it with your own money, you're financing it through somebody else? No, that doesn't happen. And when it comes to a business, there's a couple of things to kind of bear in mind. One is it always comes down to the seller's motivation. So if you're following the process and you're finding that distressed seller of a good business and they're highly motivated to get out, they're not going to be as concerned about how you're financing the deal because they're so motivated to sell. As long as you built the relationship, they know you, like you, trust you, see you as a credible, safe pair of hands to take the business to the next level. That's going to go a massively long way. Where you do get some pushback, one of the common things that sellers can say to you is, so I've run my business for 30 years and I've never had any debt inside of it, and you're coming in and you're borrowing money that the business has to pay back. What we always say, and this is Adam's line, so I'll give him the credit, is when you say to the seller is, so listen, banks have been through this deal with a fine tooth comb and they're prepared to lend this money. Do you really think the bank would be ponying up this level of cash to buy the business if they weren't 100% confident that this business was going to thrive? And then where you've got deals that are heavily seller financed and the seller's concerned that you're going to run off with the business and not pay them, then if you've been through the legal modules of Dealmaker CEO, you'll know that there are mechanisms that we can put into the legal docs that give the seller lots of protection around that. We give them something called a clawback. We give them a right to take back the business if indeed you don't make the payments for the seller financing note. So there's lots and lots of different things that you can do. And I know what's interesting, Adam, is a lot of the questions that we get, I think they're from people that aren't in the program. And what I don't obviously want to say is, oh, go buy the program because we teach you exactly how to do this and how to implement it. Obviously, we want to give some value on these calls, but obviously, to really give you the full detailed description of what that means and how to actually implement it, that's why we created the program, so you can go through it, really diligently and professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the underlying theme there is really this relationship. And you've got to have that. So let's see here. Daring Drew 2. God, we have such great names of the people who participate. I'm really, really happy with that.
Yeah, was our friend Funky Jazzfish or whatever he was called?
Or Chrome
Clapper. Yeah.
Chrome Clapper. Yeah, we've got such great names. So hats off to all of you guys with those names. A business I'm looking at has the facility listed with a broker, but not the business itself. Would it be better to buy this as 2 separate transactions or buy it all together? When you say facility, I'm assuming this is just a commercial transaction, and the broker you're referring to is a commercial real estate broker. If that's the case, it sounds like they're just looking to sell the real estate. I wouldn't be sure if they're actually looking to sell the business. Sometimes a commercial broker will represent, like a commercial real estate broker will represent the real estate and the business if they're looking to sell. Carl and I have different answers on this. I'm going to say, yep, buy both. You're always going to buy both technically in two separate transactions. General rule of thumb, own your real estate in a separate entity than you do your operating company. It's a liability protection thing. So if something happens to the business, they can't take the real estate. If something happens to the real estate, they can't take the business. It's just a protection thing. I would say any attorney or solicitor really worth anything is going to have that recommendation. So it would ultimately be two transactions, but I would always try to negotiate for the whole thing together, right? If this is in the US, you've got some cool financing opportunities, not necessarily equity free. I mean, you're going to have to come up with some cash, or as we say, go find a partner who has the cash and they put it up. So you're still not putting any of your money in. But the idea is there's some cool programs that can give you some pretty favorable lending terms if you do and your partner have that kind of equity injection, and you're buying the real estate and a business together here in the US. So even though there's two separate transactions from the seller side, if they are in fact selling both, they're looking at the whole thing as one big transaction. So you can find a really good, strong way to get them a lot of cash at closing, and negotiate a bit more aggressively as a result.
Yeah, what you might find, normally people sell the business and not the real estate. They want to keep the real estate as an investment. But if they're selling the real estate, but not the business, they might be shutting the business down. If they can get all the money for the real estate, they might not care about the business. So that could be a free business. You can say, hey, look, don't close it down and let all the employees go and let your customers down. Assuming the real estate transaction closes, I'll take the business for free, and then I'll just pay a rental income to whoever buys the building. That way, you're strengthening the sale of the building, because an investor is going to buy it and think, well, this is a good deal because I've already got a tenant that's going to pay me rent to stay trading within the facility.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carl, I have to say, right before we answered this question, we were talking about our friend Chrome Clapper, and no sooner than we do that, he jumps into the chat. So glad you're here, Chrome. I think it's actually Marlon, but super happy to have you with us as always. Well, Carl, do you have any kind of final notes and thoughts? We're always excited. I've got one more question I'll answer before we go, but
so I just want to reinforce to everybody just the power of taking action. The power of doing what we set you on Monday, and the more you do that, the more relationships you build, the faster and easier it's going to be for you to buy a business. So, great for, for Simon and for Jamie and for Faith and Roger, and for everybody else, William, everyone's taken action. For the people that got the books, I was signing your books while we were chatting. So Faith and Roger, I've signed yours. It's on its way. I've got your address in Slack. And our Liverpool fan, Steve from Hull, we've got yours as well. So those are going to go in the post. Probably tomorrow, I'll go to the post office personally, and I will mail these to you. So I think, Steve, you should get yours early next week. Faith and Roger, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's got to go on a plane, but you should have it within a couple of weeks. So yeah, have a great weekend, everybody. Adam, do we have one final question?
Yeah, so before we go, I do want to answer one last question here. Do we, Gerardo's asked, do we have good examples of earnout deals that we've done to share, going through a potential deal and would need some more help with this? So one of the things I would say there is what Carl and I can do is we can add that to one of the list of topics we'll talk about in Confessions of a Dealmaker. Just in the coming weeks, we'll talk about earnouts specifically. So if you're not subscribed already to Confessions of a Dealmaker, you should do it. The easiest way to do it is to not only sign up for that, but we'll also give you Carl Allen's Business Buying Blueprint, which is the 10-step guide to buying a business with no money down. So we'll drop a link into the comments in the chat, and just click on that and you'll be subscribed. And if you can check it out, go to the website as well, look at all the past editorial and teachings that we're doing. We send out teaching content literally 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We send out
it's free.
Yeah, we send out a weekly.
It's free.
Yeah, we send out a weekly wrap up every Saturday. Guys, you gotta subscribe. It's really fantastic. And if you haven't had a chance yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, and share this video. Share it on Facebook, share it with your friends. Listen, our goal is to create a world where you're the best deal maker possible. The only way to do that is get social accountability. People who know you understand the journey you're on. So share this and tell people what you're doing. Simply share the link, and off you go. And people are gonna. These people are committed to becoming deal makers and changing their life. So share the video, like the video. We really appreciate it, and we enjoy doing this each and every week. So guys, looking forward to seeing you next week. Again, we're off on Monday. We're all going to be enjoying the holiday, and we hope you are as well. And just remember, you're one deal away from changing your life, and we encourage you to absolutely crush it. You're just one deal away. You got to get there. And to do that, you got to take action. So until next time, keep on fighting. Carl?
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for showing up. We will see you guys next Friday. Until then, keep taking action. Bye for now.
See you guys.